Hi, this is Cole Hamels. Welcome to the Philly Show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Philly Show. Ruben Amaro Jr., Jim Salisbury, Todd Zwolecki. It's Friday, August 23rd, 2024. Times, my friends, not good times for the Phillies. I just got back this morning, so I haven't been able to flip on the old radio and see what the Delaware Valley is chatting about. But
what my folks are saying on the radio.
But I have been reading my tweets and seeing my emails and seeing the comments on Facebook and whatnot. And
don't you love it when people blame you?
Oh yeah, that was the best. You know, it's funny when I used to go on with Angelo on WIP in the mornings. I'd go on like once a week, right? And Angelo would just kill me, and I would get people calling up, going, "He's so mean to you, Todd." But I understood what was going on. You know, you're a sounding board. It's like, why haven't they cut Michael Saunders yet? I'm like, it's 3 weeks into the season. You can't cut an $8 million guy 3 weeks into the season, or whatever the case may be. Right.
Well, I'm certainly being blamed still. I'm blamed.
Something you did.
Something I did. I've been
fired. It's your fault. It's your fault.
I've been fired for 10 years.
It's your fault they swinging all those breaking balls off the plate.
There was some amateur free agent, Ruben, in 2014 that you didn't sign that could have solved this problem if you had signed him. Some dude from Venezuela, or whatever. Really bad week in a lot of ways, but I think the thing that jumps out, guys, is just the offense. Just a terrible showing by the offense, batting like 120 against the Braves this week. The Braves retired the final 17 batters they faced on Tuesday night, and at one point last night, Thursday night, they retired 19 in a row. Awful. How do you fix it? What do you do?
So here's some of the things that as I'm watching the games, obviously there's a lot of swing and miss. There's a lot of chase. It is clear, very clear, that the Atlanta Braves have something on them, on the Phillies, as far as how to attack them and how to get them out. And they're executing it, and they're doing a very, very good job of it. And you have to give them credit for that. I think one of the reasons why it's happening, and it happened to us in 2009, 10, and 11, where you're scrutinized so much and scouted so much and seen so much that you start to be able to pick apart things that each one of those hitters do. And if you can execute, you can have success. I mean, if you can pitch and you can execute your pitches, then you can have success. We had that happen to us in 10 and 11. It's one of the reasons why we got knocked out early in some of those playoff races, because the execution and being able to pick apart the flaws in whoever's swing, their ability to see what they can and cannot do at the plate is being exploited right now, and it's being exploited pretty much with almost every hitter. And I think it's a combination of knowing how to pitch them and also executing, and the Braves have done a nice job of that, and other teams have done a nice job of it. So if you're scouting and you're watching, whether it's video, whether it's, you actually have an advanced scout, you can pick apart some people, and you can go back to some of the film and watch some of this. And I'm sure there are intelligent people out there watching it happen. And if you can execute as a pitching staff, then you can have some success against this club.
Matt Gelb had a great little nugget in his story today in The Athletic that the Phillies have seen fewer fastballs than any team in baseball since the All-Star break. So it's just off speeds, breaking balls. Rinse, repeat, 2023 NLCS all over again.
And they can't lay off that stuff that dangles off of the outside corner of the plate and breaks off the plate. What Ruben says, about the Phillies in 9, 10, and 11, they were really heavily scouted. I think scouting is even more sophisticated now. And really not a long period of time has passed. It's just because the video scouting, and they can pinpoint every situation through these, analytics they have and really pick apart a team's weaknesses. And the Phillies just can't lay off that stuff. I think there's some over anxiousness, but they're also a free swinging team that has been prone to this before. Leopard don't change its spots. I know they worked on it a lot. They talked about it a lot, but when in a competitive situation, you're still going to revert back to usually, what you are. And that's a free swinging team that when they're not going good is prone to chasing, prone to try to do too much. And that's what we're seeing. I mean, you go to Atlanta, you score 6 runs in 3 games. That's terrible. It's terrible for this roster and for this group of players and this group of track records. You had 3 extra base hits, 3 doubles. You had no home runs. Team that's built to slug. I think they're trying to do too much. Their selectivity has gone in the tank. And, they really wasted a couple of good starting outings from Wheeler and Sanchez. And only lost a game in the standings and 3 days ticked off the calendar. They're going to play in October. They're going to play in October. Right. But if their big guys, Schwarber, Harper, Turner, are not their big guys and don't play well, they're not going to last long.
I think one of the biggest issues is they're not passing the baton. And when you start, and you make a great point, Jim. I mean, Leopards don't change their spots very much. It's hard to do it at their veteran stages, but they sort of have to be able to be patient enough and selective enough to pass the baton, take a walk, let somebody else do the job. And that's hard to do when you're trying to get back on track, right? You want to swing your way out of your slumps, your down times. And that's a difficult thing to do. I've been there myself as a young player. Now these guys are old enough and veteran enough to be able to make those adjustments, I hope, and I think. But I think part of it has to be like, hey, it's okay for me to take a walk. I don't have to come up with the big base hit. I just have to try to have a productive at bat. So productive at bats is what it's about. And you string enough productive at bats back to back, and you got a chance to do some damage, because that's when it creates stress for the pitcher. And I'm hoping that they can turn that piece of it around.
And when you chase, you create no stress on the opposing pitcher. I mean,
Raisel
Iglesias just right through that 9th inning last night. The Braves, they got a lot of guts, that team. So impressed with that team. They have lost 4 studs, Riley, Albies, Acuna, and obviously Spencer Strider. And they just hang tough, and they hang tough, and they hang tough. They go out and they get, they pick up Whit Merrifield. They pick up Gio Urshela. And those two combined on a lightning quick double play last night. That was, to me, a big-time difference maker in that ball game. A lot of guts on that team.
Yeah, the smart move by Alex Anthopoulos. I mean, you're not going to get a producer like Austin Riley, but you're going to get somebody who can help you on the defensive side of the ball. And those 2 guys actually on the defensive side of the ball helped win that series. They won the series because they made unbelievable defensive plays that kept them in the game and didn't allow for extended innings. And that's sort of the opposite of what happened with the Phillies.
The double play that Turner hit into is a great defensive play at third base.
One of the best I've ever seen. One of the best I've seen.
Oh, he looked like Mazeroski getting rid of that thing. He was so quick.
No, he's really, really good.
Really good. I think the concern is that has everybody worried is that it just seems like this has gone on so long, and they know what the plan of attack is, and they seem unable to stop it. Like you said, Ruben, you can't change the Leopards' spots or stripes or whatever you want to say, that they just can't get it going. I mean, this series, you look at the numbers: Kyle Schwarber 1 for 10, Trey Turner 0 for 11, Bryce Harper 1 for 12, Nick Castellanos 1 for 11. Up and down the lineup, just nothing going on, and it's been that way since the All-Star break. There's
14 strikeouts last night.
14 strikeouts last night. I think they had like 33 in the series. They had 5 walks in the series.
I think they had 27 swings and misses last night.
And I'm not here to bash these guys, but the reality of it is the swing and miss is, it's epidemic, and it does get contagious. You got to try to make contact it's been a little bit of a topic of discussion. I saw on MLB Network they talked about it a little bit. I don't know why the strikeout became acceptable, but for 10 or 12 years, it's become an acceptable thing. The strikeout, folks, the strikeout is not acceptable. And the strikeout is not acceptable because the strikeout, you can create absolutely zero with a strikeout. There's no chance of ever doing anything productive with a strikeout. And so I'm not sure why people don't logically understand that, but they don't. And I know the pitching's tough, but it just seems like the emphasis on making contact and putting the ball in play has gone by the wayside for 12 or 15 years. And I think it's one of the detrimental things that's happened to the sport.
Well, Rob Thompson said last night, they need to think small, big things happen. Think small, big things happen. Stop swinging out of your shoes, I guess. Let them try to get the ball back into the strike zone and then try to do something with it. But don't try to hit a grand slam every time you step to the plate. So he seems to be searching for answers too.
I mean, the swings are so big. You mentioned the last 12, 15 years. The swings are big. The fastballs are big. It's power. And that's how you get paid with power. And that's why the swings are big. That's why the fastballs are big. And that's why the strikeouts have gone up.
I see. But what I don't understand about it, and I studied hitting a lot. I wasn't a very good hitter, but I understood hitting. And what I don't understand is when you have power and you have speed, the key is to be quick with your swing, not big with your swing, because that gives you a much better chance to see the ball longer and to make contact. That's not something that's happening enough, especially with two strikes, very rarely. And when the Phillies are going well, they do that well. They hit the ball the other way. I talk about it on the broadcast all the time. When those guys are seeing the ball a long time and driving the ball the opposite way, that's when they're having their most success. Pretty much every single hitter across the board. That's why Alec Boehm's such a good hitter. It's why Bryson Stott is not the same hitter as he was last year, because he's not doing those sorts of things. And so at some point, you just hope that the guys that are in the box and in that situation having stress upon them, that they can make those adjustments.
And we will be right back.
Big shout out to America's #1 meal kit, HelloFresh, for helping us eat good during this busy time of the year for us. With HelloFresh, you get pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. It's home cooking made easy, fun, and affordable.
HelloFresh makes it easy, even for picky eaters like Scott. There's a changing menu of 50 recipes to choose from each week. Customize it to fit your taste. There's protein and veggie swap options too. The recipes are easy to follow. Just choose your delivery day, open your box, cook, and eat.
My house is busy with sports, but family dinners are important. My fam eats better, healthier, and we cook so much easier with HelloFresh.
And for a limited time, kids eat free. Go to HelloFresh.com/FTKids to unlock this exclusive offer. 1 free kids meal per box for 2 months while subscription is active. That's free kids meals just by going to HelloFresh.com/FTKids.
Guys, it's time for Them's Fighting Words, presented by Shibe Vintage Sports. Get unique throwback Phillies tees, hats, and sweatshirts at their shops in Center City, Wayne, and Westchester, and at shibesports.com. We're sporting some Shibe's gear. I got my Blue Horizon t-shirt on, which I love. I went to Blue Horizon when I first moved to Philly, my first year. I was telling this to Jim Rubin before. That was my true introduction to Philly, because we don't have stuff like that in Wisconsin. We don't have a house on North Broad that you walk inside and guys are pummeling each other to death. It was awesome. So, but this week's Phillies quote of the week, I had to pick something that was, and Ruben's got Ben Franklin, Jimmy's got
that's my hood.
So, there you go.
Todd, do you even know who the Philadelphia Blazers were?
I had to ask you who the Philadelphia Blazers.
So they were a short-lived WHA team, World Hockey Association.
Okay.
And they pilfered one of my favorite players from the Boston Bruins, Derek Sanderson. He's the guy that set up Bobby Orr for the Stanley Cup winning goal on May 10th, 1970. Not that I was a big Bruins fan, but Derek Sanderson, Ruben, get this. Derek Sanderson goes to the Philadelphia Blazers. They played in the Civic Center over by Penn.
Yeah.
And he goes to the Philadelphia Blazers, WHA, signs a 6-year, $2.6 million contract, which at that time in like 73, largest contract in sports history at that time, $2.6 million.
In sports history?
Yep. Largest contract in sports history at that time. It was surpassed. But at that time, 6 years, $2.6 million. And
wow.
They ended up dissolving the contract. He only played like 5 or 6 games or whatever, 8 games. And the Blazers ended up moving away. But yeah, it was
some serious glue for back in the day.
Derek Sanders, the Turk.
So this week's Them's Fighting Words quote of the week, Phillies quote of the week, it comes from Trey Turner, and it's from last night, and I thought it was very fitting. This is Trey Turner last night in the clubhouse. There's still time left. Obviously, we want to play well. It's starting to get to that point in the season where it's play well or go home type of deal. I don't think we're under any stress or pressure or anything like that, but more so we just want to play well. We know what we're capable of, and we expect it out of ourselves. I thought it was an interesting mention of it's getting to that point in the season where it's play well or go home. Jim, I agree with you. I think they're going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
They would have to go in an epic collapse not to make the playoffs. They still have a 6-game lead over the Braves. The Braves would have to play insane baseball the rest of the way. The Phillies would have to continue on this slide not to make the playoffs. But it's not about getting in this year. It's about going deep into October, and the way they're hitting right now, I think that's what has everybody nervous. They're going, is this going to happen again in the postseason? Is whoever they play in the NLDS, are they just going to throw sliders and off speed and breaking balls, and are they going to be bounced out in the NLDS like the Diamondbacks did to them in the NLCS? I think that's what's got everybody nervous.
And they're playing so poorly that if they keep this up, they're going to end up being the 3rd seed, and they're going to have to play an extra series, and that increases the chances that you have one of these stretches where you swing and miss at everything and you go home early. So
yeah,
a lot of reasons to get this going. 1, seeding. 2, because you want to take some momentum in there. 3, you want to believe in yourself, and the fans want to believe in you. But it's been a rough stretch. They have not played well against good teams, and they're going to see good teams in October.
So, Jim, what would you do? Would there be anything that you would do on this roster or whatever to get things going? Austin Hayes is supposed to come back tonight in Kansas City, probably starting left field. Anything, so I guess Cal Stevenson probably.
The first thing I would do is hope Trey Turner puts his money where his mouth is. They need him. They need Harper. They need Schwarber to. You need your big guns to be your big guns. You need them to play well. I see some transactions coming. I mean, obviously, you pointed out Hayes is going to come back. I would imagine Cal Stevenson will go at that. Something I think we talked about last week. I'm ready to pull the trigger on. I mean, Brandon Marsh is striking out like 44% of the time this month. And I hate to lay this at his feet, this skid they're in and these struggles they're in. It's because, to me, he's a second-tier player. But he just kind of looks lost at the plate. I would think it's time maybe to send him to AAA, bring Cody Clemens, another left-handed hitter who's been hitting really well at AAA. It wouldn't be punitive for Marsh. It would be try to get him right. But he's just not helping you, and this is a time when you need production. And I know he's been a popular guy. It doesn't have to be forever, but try to get him right and maybe swap him out for Cody Clemens.
Yeah, Marsh in the Braves series 0 for 5, 5 strikeouts. Brandon Marsh since the All-Star break, 523 OPS. He struck out 40% of the time, second in baseball to Luis Robert Jr. Remember Luis Robert Jr.? Everybody thought he was going to be the answer to the Phillies' problems. He's been even worse than anybody. But a 523 OPS for Marsh since the All-Star break. Ruben, what do you think about maybe bringing up Cody Clemens? Cody Clemens this month in AAA, for what it's worth, batting .328, 835 OPS, couple home runs, not striking out nearly as much, not as good at pitching down there, of course, but he didn't strike out that much, relatively speaking, to Marsh when he was up here.
Yeah, I'm not a really super patient person by nature. I think you have to be patient in the game of baseball. But that said, I think it's gotten to the point now with basically 2 months of like very, very mediocre to poor baseball in this league to be playing at this rate, because frankly, there's not great teams. I mean, this Atlanta Braves team is not a great team. There's a lot of teams that they're playing. They're not great teams. Even the teams that are over 500 are not great teams. There's no super teams, at least not the way they're performing. And so for them to have performed this poorly for so long, I think a change needs to be made. I don't think that some of the things that they could be doing base running wise, I don't see the aggressiveness. Trey Turner's not run or stolen. I haven't seen an attempted stolen base. Part of it is because he's hitting in front of Harper. Maybe you slide him somewhere else in the lineup, that when he gets on base, you're not afraid to run in front of Harper. I think some change probably needs to be made, whether it's the lineup shakeup, whether it's just giving guys who are swinging the bat the best more opportunities. Bryson Stott's not been very good. Do you put somebody else at second base for a while? Does Edmundo Sosa play a little bit? I mean, it's time. It's time to play, and it's time to be productive. And there are some people on that bench, and there's some pieces that maybe have better, more productive at bats. It might be time to make some changes, whether it's sending somebody out or changing the lineup. I love the steadiness of what Rob Thompson brings, and I get it. But at some point, if you're not doing your job, and it is pretty evident that a lot of guys are not right now, that a change needs to be made, just at least to shake things up and to see. And it's not a panic move, because he's been. I mean, it wouldn't be a panic move; it would be a production move. Listen, they're not doing it; they're not getting it done. Maybe some sort of change can shake some things up.
It's not panic. It would be totally justifiable.
Totally.
Absolutely.
A couple months ago, we would have said, what are they doing? This is ridiculous. They've only been struggling. But now it's 2 months of just
mediocre,
swing and miss, mediocre baseball. I mean, they're tied for the second worst record in baseball since the All-Star break. The White Sox obviously worse. They're tied with the Pirates. The White Sox fired their manager. The Mariners are right behind the Phillies in terms of record since the All-Star break. They just fired their manager. And that's not what I'm suggesting, but I'm just saying, like, the teams that they're playing alongside right now are doing, they're making major moves because they're so bad over the past several weeks.
And guess what? They're going to face some pretty darn good starting pitching here in Kansas City. It's one of the best starting pitching in all of baseball.
Yeah.
Right there behind the Phillies and Mariners and some of the other teams that are right up there at the top. And believe me, they've been watching them too. So they've been watching exactly how they're getting them out. So I would suggest, I think you're going to get a new hitter in left field. That's going to help, I think. I don't know how he's going to produce. I would suggest, hey, change the lineup up. If some guys aren't producing, then let other people try to get in there to produce.
Yeah, I'd like to see something.
Agree. You need to have some type of action that says this ain't good enough. I mean, they tried the team meeting thing. There needs to be some action that says this ain't good enough.
Yeah, and I don't think if anybody in there is offended by somebody getting optioned or sent down, I mean, you have to really look in the mirror at that point, right? I mean, you get like, how could we change anything? Stay the course. Like, they've stayed the course. They've stayed the course a long time. So they gotta get going. Yeah, Ruben, you mentioned the pitching matchups this week. You got Taijuan Walker versus Michael Wacha on Friday night. Saturday, Ranger Suarez is coming back. We don't know what he's going to look like. They need a good version of him, though. Jim, you said it the other day. It can't be one of these slow ramp ups.
He needs to look good. I mean, he's been out a while. It makes you wonder what the heck's going on.
Yeah,
and he needs to feel good about himself. They need to feel good about him. He was such an important contributor as they were building the best record in baseball when they looked like they were invincible.
Guys, can we talk about the starting pitching? Because the starting pitching has been outstanding.
Really
it's
good.
It's been great. And
they wasted two outings. They wasted really good outings.
3 outings. I mean, listen, Aaron Nola wasn't perfect. He gave up one home. He's going to give up a home run every single game. It's going to happen. He's going to give up a home run at some point because that's his track record. I get it. But he kept them in the game, and they should be scoring runs off of that team. And they're just not doing it.
Well, Ruben, you said that just the other day, like the starting pitching's got to get going because, that's what kind of carried them the first couple months of the season. Man, they really need the starting pitching to come through now while this offense. They have no shot otherwise.
Yeah, so the biggest problem I have with the starting pitching right now is that they're forced to be perfect. And that should not happen with this ball club. When you have those 3 guys at the top of the lineup, 4 guys at the top of the lineup, you got to have more production than that. You really do.
Yeah.
And they're paid to perform. And it's been long enough now through the last couple of months that the performance has not been there. Are they banged up? Are they not healthy? I don't know. They're in there. So if they're in there, they should be performing.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter whether they're banged up or not. It's time for them to step it forward.
And guys, you know, the Royals are a good team, young, right in it, need victories.
Right, and they're playing good.
They got a guy who's going to maybe run down Aaron Judge for AL MVP.
Bobby Witt unbelievable.
But the schedule is tough. I mean, you got Houston coming in, then you got the Braves again, and then the calendar flips into September, and you got 7 with the Mets. And you know the Mets are pulling off some dramatic wins.
Yeah.
Good mojo. They got some mojo going. Yeah.
They got some mojo. Those are going to be 7 interesting games, especially if the Phillies don't right the ship here pretty soon.
And then so Suarez is going against Brady Singer on Saturday, and then Sunday. This is I wonder if Rob Thompson will change his thinking based off what happens the first 2 games. He said Zack Wheeler is scheduled to start Sunday, but depending on how they come out of it, or Wheeler's coming out of it, Nola, he's thrown 100+ pitches the last couple starts. They could go to a 6-man, either make Sunday a bullpen game or call up Kobe Allard. I don't think Tyler Phillips is eligible to be recalled, but I wonder if they would scrap those plans if they lose those first 2 games.
How about scrapping it anyway if you win them and go for a sweep? I mean, Wheeler loves to stay on turn. I mean, I just think that might be an urgency move. That we considered bullpen game, we considered extra rest, but he don't like extra rest, and
that's a great point, man.
Go and go for a little jugular action.
That kind of goes back to what happened on Sunday, with Bryce and JT sitting on the bench, and that win would have been, not that we don't know that they would have won, but speaks to that philosophy of go for the jugular,
especially with that guy.
He is the guy. He is the man.
No doubt. No doubt. I mean, I think, again, I know it's important, and this is something that Rob Thompson's preached a lot. Down the road, they need the health. And yeah, but the urgency needs to be there, because it's not like, I know they have some cushion, but they just haven't been playing well. And so you sort of need them to ramp up the mojo by playing better baseball and winning. And how do you change the mojo? You change the mojo by winning baseball games.
Right. It would be a big weekend if they could somehow get 2 out of 3 in Kansas City. But
no doubt. And I think that would be a huge plus. If they can get 2 out of 3 there, huge plus. If they cannot, it's still it's going to be an interesting race over the next month and a half, man. Or less than a month and a half now.
Especially coming home.
It's time for them to start playing the baseball that they need to play as they ramp towards October.
Yeah, I mean, if they have a bad weekend this weekend, then you come home and to play the Astros and the Braves, and things get off on the wrong foot on Monday, going to be some unhappy
campers.
Fans.
It'll be Autobahn Society. There'll be boo birds at the ballpark.
I mean, all the equity and all the joy that they've created with this team is starting to dissipate a little bit, but that can be turned around. And the way you turn it around is by Schwarber hitting leadoff home runs, Harper coming up with big doubles, Trey Turner hitting the home run and stealing a bag. All those things get washed away, and everything's hunky-dory if those guys start doing what they typically have done in their careers.
And then they hope in a few weeks to go, remember that rough stretch we were in for 2 months where we looked terrible? Now we're ready to rock and roll. So that's the hope I think all those guys have. Is that
we kind of been saying this now for 2 weeks. It's time to stop saying it, and they need to, we need to see it, or else I don't know what the next conversation is.
Well, I can't wait to see what our next conversation is going to be on Monday morning, guys. It's either going to be more of like, what the hell is going on here? Or, hey, maybe they got this thing turned around a little bit going into this big 7-game homestand. So, guys, we will be back Monday. That was fun. As fun as we could make it.
Yeah, it was depressing as hell.
The doom and gloom. We try to keep it entertaining and fun, even as it looks like the sky is falling and the swings and misses keep coming. So I'll talk to you guys on Monday. Thanks.
Smell you later, boys.
Smell you, Jim.
This is The Phillies Show. If you haven't already, please subscribe to The Phillies Show wherever you get your podcasts. You can also watch us on our YouTube channel. If you like what we do, give us a review. Tell a friend. Catch Ruben, Jim, and me on Phillies Nation TV, presented by Valley Forge Tourism. New episodes air an hour before every Saturday Phillies game on NBC Sports Philadelphia. Replays air throughout the week and on PhilliesNation.com. Get more of Ruben's analysis during, before, and after Phillies games on NBC Sports Philadelphia, on the Sports Radio 94 WIP Morning Show, and MLB Network. Read Jim at the All City Network at allphly.com. Find more of me at MLB.com, the Phillies Beat newsletter, and occasionally on MLB Network.